Please repeat Nancy's Riot podcast about positivity, being strong, get survival, mental health, helping each other and overcoming life's challenges. Take hold like a loud buckle, this to be a hurt, hey. Chasing me is everything to the Lord alone, hey. I'll let go and chase out of it.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. First of all, as I always say, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me today. As always, time is the one thing we can never get back. And I haven't posted an episode in a couple of weeks. I needed to take a breather from the last time I recorded. So my producer, Aaron here, he's so fabulous. We should have put a wager on this one.
Thank you very much. That was very kind of you.
Thank you. So a couple of things that I just wanted to tell you guys. Usually when I'm doing these episodes, I have my TikTok going, and we're restricted a lot on that app in the things that I can say. So I've noticed that I was pausing a lot because I was being too conscientious of what not to say on that app so I wouldn't be shut down. So I need to just focus on my channel, my audience, YouTube. So anybody that takes the time to watch me, subscribe, comment, share, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And like I've been honest with you guys, I don't know if you've taken the time to see all my episodes. I'm obviously getting more comfortable being able to speak to you guys the way that I am now. And one of the things that I was waiting for, and I had mentioned it to my producer and a couple of friends behind the scenes, that, again, if you watch my episodes, I left a short-lived marriage 4 months after brain surgery. And as abusers, I've come to learn that it's just a matter of time before we get a reaction from them. And, well, I got a reaction from my short-lived abusive ex that I left 4 months after brain surgery. And I'm going to put this up because I'm sharing this with you guys because he actually found out about my channel, my podcast. And as expected, if I was a gambler, I would have won big right now, because I knew he would not be able to control himself, because most abusers can't. And I got a reaction. And there's somebody else that eventually I'm going to open up about with, another man. And it would all make sense in how they tie in. But I'm going to hold this up right here. I don't know, Aaron, can we able to zoom in, or can you see it okay to what I'm holding? You know who you are. Wrong. Because you are so wrong, Ron. So let me tell you guys, he goes by this name, Wrong, because that's not his real name. It was always Wrong. The way that he shares the story is he grew up in the hood, in the Bronx, and his real name is Juan, and I've always wanted to believe him, but he was such a liar that it was really hard. So they couldn't pronounce his name, so that instead of saying Juan, they would call him Ron. So Ron stayed. So he stayed with the wrong name because they couldn't pronounce his right name. But anyhow, if you've watched my previous episodes, I've shared with you guys about the Four Horsemen and how I believe that we are in an abusive relationship with this current administration and the person at the top. And I don't know if you watched my last solo episode, but I said it. Our government does not care about our military, and it's on full display right now. So I said this before we were this far into the war. And it is so sad how much it continues to go downwards. And I really hope that for once we value the life of our military, even though they choose to put their life on the line for our nation. but they deserve better than what they're getting. We deserve better than what we're getting. With that said, I've shared with you guys, and I was holding back about the Four Horsemen when I was trying to give you examples in the previous episodes. But now that Wrong has taken the time to find my channel, and some of you might have caught them. I don't know if you did, but he went through quite a bit of my episodes in shorts and just left a ton of messages, as he always does. But what did surprise me is that he's using his real name now, the I Want to Believe You name, which you did shock me, because for nearly 4 years now, you've been using a whole bunch of fake names. And I mean, let me just show you Wrong. This is how much law enforcement has about you. And what's sad is that even all this, because you'd been using fake names, I had to prove that it was you, because you were using fake names. But I just wanted to thank you for finally using your real name, that you finally had the balls to use your real name and not hide behind your cowardice that you've always hidden behind. And well, today I'm going to tell you things that I've always wanted to say to you that I didn't want to, but you won't leave me alone. So I figured I might as well just talk to you directly, since you're so persistent in trying to get my attention. And although I don't want to talk about you, because when my friends ask, why are we still talking about him? Because you're still a pain in my ass. And I wish you weren't. Because you know what I wish? I wish that you would be happy, because you text me and you tell me how happily married you are. And I want you to be. Because if you are, maybe, just maybe, you'll leave me alone. And if you wouldn't give me subjects or reasons to talk about you, I wouldn't talk about you. But I'm still going to talk about you, because you put me through hell while I was trying to fight for my life. And you almost succeeded, at breaking my spirit. Because you would degrade me and put me down so much that I know the exact moment I stopped loving you. And then I just started looking at you for what you were showing me. Because you were trying to mess with my head so much after brain surgery that, man, the list, Wrong? I mean, look at this. Look at this. I mean, there's pages. I have so many things I can talk about you that I don't even know where to start. But where I am going to start is describing the Four Horsemen. So now maybe whomever's listening, and again, if you find yourself in these situations, whether you're a man or a woman, because we all as human beings, when we're in that abusive cycle, at least it shook me to my core. Because if you've not heard me speak previously, I've never met anybody so evil as him. And the only other person that I've ever seen that sounds just as evil is the president. The only difference between the two is one has power, the other one does not. One is doing a lot of damage to all of us collectively as a world, not just as America, as a world. This one is just, he affects me, and I have no doubt he affects his new wife, but supposedly he's happily married, but he keeps bothering me. And I hope to Mrs. Wrong that I know that you haven't left me alone either. I have screenshots of all the evidence too, and how you've harassed my children too. But anyhow, let's get into the Four Horsemen. So, and this time I'm going to give you stories of how it correlates my life to each of the Four Horsemen. And again, I want you to think of how this, and if in the moment I think of it, I'll give you examples of what the president does, how it is the same thing. Abusive men and women do these things. And if any of these things resonate with you or hit a spot, good or bad, it means I hit a spot. And I hope that it does, and that you take the same action I took, which was explore of why I was feeling those things. And I was in therapy. And it is one of the best things I've ever done, because even though he is one of the worst things that ever happened to me, and I don't say that because him as a human being, and he's bad. Trust me, he's bad. But the situation as a whole, I'm grateful for it, because I've become a better person because of him. Because I've never met such evil and the depth that he goes to make, he would go through to make me miserable. The way that we're miserable as a nation, as a world, because of one person. But anyhow, so criticism, that is one of Gottman's Four Horsemen. And again, I'm going to describe to you the meaning and the gentle startup. And I'm going to give you an example of how he would reply to me, or how he would respond to me, or how we would interact. Criticism. Verbally attacking personality or character. In a healthy relationship, you would start with a gentle startup. Talk about your feelings using I statements and express a positive need. One of the things that he would tell me is that I was a failure and that I had absolutely no drive. And that was even before brain surgery. Well, wrong. I don't know. I think failure looks pretty darn good on me. What do you think, Aaron?
I haven't known you that long, but I think you've done a great job. You told me you've got a lot of awards from work, and I've seen some when you brought them in.
Yeah, and you know what? He used to tell me that I used to like to collect my awards, because one day I came home. This was right after brain surgery, and I had just completed my term for one of my boards. So I received an award and a coin from the city. And I came home excited to share with him and show it to him. And he said, "Boy, you like to collect those things, don't you?" And I just remember pausing, and I just said to him, "I don't collect them, I earn them." And it isn't until now that after I was out of the situation, that I'm able to reflect and realize he had no awards. And I hate to say this, but it's the truth. He's a failure at everything he's ever done.
So it's a jealousy thing?
Yes. I've now come to understand, being in therapy, that the criticism, those were his own insecurities. It's because he was always, I actually wanted to do a podcast with him. I talked to him about it, and he was too scared to get behind the mic. And I remember when a few months into, when we were trying to work things out in our marriage, and I said, because he was messing with my head a lot. So I said to him, "Why don't we do a live, and maybe we could start a podcast together. I've wanted to do one, and we talk about our marriage in real life and see if we can work things out and let people be the judge." And well, of course, it never happened. So
don't they call those people that don't go in front of the camera, that stay online, keyboard warriors?
Yes, and I get it. Like, this isn't easy. I think you've seen my growth from the very beginning in 3 months to now, and me being able to talk to you guys. And I've shared with you that I would try to stay and be as authentic as I possibly can. So that's why I'm sharing with you the pausing. I was trying to not use his name, Wrong's name, but since he's given me a reason, since he's been in my comments, anyhow, I'll go to the second of the Four Horsemen, contempt. Attacking sense of self-worth, intent to insult or abuse. The gentle startup, if you're in a relationship, because again, this relates to relationships. and even friendships, family members and whatnot. So the gentle startup would be remind yourself of your partner's positive qualities and gratitude for positive actions. So for example, let's say, because he would do this to me if I wouldn't wash dishes, he would say I was lazy. Versus a gentle startup would be, and mind you, I had brain surgery, so I was lazy if I didn't do work around the house. A gentle startup would be, I appreciate it when you do the dishes. Now, wrong would tell me that I was full of myself because of my accomplishments. And he would tell me that I wasn't very good at what I do for a living, yet I have, not to brag, and my confidence comes from what I've lived and what I've accomplished, is I'm very well decorated. And I'm proud of that. And if you're well decorated, you should be very proud of that too, if you've earned every single thing, because I know I have. Nothing has been handed to me. I've earned every single one of them. So that is contempt, the second of Four Horsemen. Then defensiveness, victimizing yourself to ward off perceived attack and reverse the blame. So a normal person would take responsibility, accept your partner's perspective, and offer an apology for wrongdoing. So what's interesting is I have screenshots, by the way. Right after we divorced, I believe the next day, and I have the text messages. So it would have been September 14th of 2022. He messaged somebody I met through him, because he actually, when we divorced, anybody that I met, he had them choose who they were going to stay friends with. And we're all adults now, mind you. Anyhow, he sent a message to somebody. We divorced September 2nd, 2022. So September 14th, 2022, he sent somebody a message telling them that I said I was going to smear his name and lie, and that I was a liar, and that I was going to make up stories about how abusive he was behind closed doors, and for this individual not to believe me. Anyhow, I am very grateful that this individual sent me screenshots. Even though we didn't really know each other, she knew enough that it just wasn't who I am. Because if I'm going to say something, I'm going to say it directly to you. I have no issues saying it to anybody's face. And I'll be honest, depending on who you are, it depends on how I'm going to deliver it. But I always try to take the kind way out. Anyhow, I share that with you because that's what he would do. And also, I don't know, maybe like 3 months after brain surgery, he would be upset anytime I would paint my nails. It was an argument. He did not want me painting my nails, but he would complain if I didn't look presentable. And he said he was going to work, and I guess he wanted to catch me in the act of painting my nails. He left, but walked in about 5 minutes later, and I was painting my nails. It erupted into an argument. And all of a sudden, I don't even remember exactly what it was, but he banged his head against the wall. And then he looked at me and said, "Do you see what you made me do?" I just want you to fathom what that would be like. Nobody's ever done that. I stayed silent. And I cannot begin to tell you how many times I had to stay silent. And if anything, I'm actually proud of myself that I did that, because had I not, I can honestly tell you I would not be here telling you these things. So if you need to stay silent in that moment because you need to, you need to get out alive, stay silent. Stay silent. So moving on to the next, what I do with it. So that was defensiveness. Stonewalling. That's withdrawing to avoid conflict and convey disapproval, distance, and separation. The psychological self-soothing is in a healthy relationship. Take a break and spend that time doing something soothing and distracting. So, if you're having an argument and you can tell your partner, I need just a few minutes because I don't want to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. That's what a healthy human being would do. And like clockwork, I knew that every 2 weeks there was going to be a fight. And I have recordings because right after brain surgery, he would say that he was changing my words so much. It was word salad, just like what the president does. Twist your words. It's not your reality. You're seeing things. I didn't do this. You did this. No ownership. None whatsoever. And anyhow, I have recordings, and maybe I'll even play them for you guys because he knows I was recording them. Because right after brain surgery, he would say that I was doing things that I knew just wasn't in my character to do. Because I knew myself well enough that it just didn't sound like something I would say or do. So I started to tell him I was going to record us because it was very difficult for me to keep things into chronological order because I was healing from brain surgery and I was on a lot of medications right after just to stay alive. So I would record him, our conversations, and it's interesting how I even would hear myself and how my stuttering and my lisp and just trying to gather my feelings and what I wanted to say to him to convey the right message. And I understand if you stay. I really do. I know how difficult it is. And the one thing that I was really hoping is because my friends asked me why I still speak about him. And if I'm going to be honest with you, I wish I wouldn't even have to have given a speech or speeches about him at all, or be here talking to you about this. It's not a good feeling and wrong. I hope, because stonewalling, I didn't finish about that. Like I was saying, like clockwork, every 2 weeks I knew that there was going to be a fight. And when I got into therapy and after I left him, we decided we would go through marriage counseling. And this is something that I haven't opened up to anybody about. Because I was embarrassed. And I was carrying a lot of shame that I was still trying to work some things out with somebody that I think deep down inside I knew wasn't going to work out. And I actually have a friend that October of 2021, he'd gone to her office. And I remember her calling me to tell me how he was just talking crap about me for like 2 hours to her. And when she called to tell me that, I didn't really know how to react because I'd never been in this situation. And I asked her not to sugarcoat anything to me and to just give it to me straight. And the one thing that she said to me was, I don't want to put any hate in your heart. But if you want to stay with him, you're going to be miserable for the rest of your life. And I just remember that hit me so hard because I did genuinely love him. And he fooled me. He caught me at a moment that I was so weak. Because one, I was fighting for my life. I was in and out of the hospital for 5 months. We married December the 9th of 2022. Exactly a week later is when his true colors came out. And I just remember thinking to myself, and wrong if you're hearing this for the first time. What the hell did I get myself into? And how the hell do I get myself out of this? Because I'm about to have brain surgery in 5 months. but I had to numb my emotions just to get to brain surgery. I couldn't deal with him knowing what I had, the fight I already had in front of me. So I stayed silent and I took the mental, verbal, and emotional abuse because I did not have the energy for it. And I was trying to make excuses for his bad behavior, that it was the stress of brain surgery. And him and I got married really quick. So just to give you guys an idea, if you've not seen my previous episodes, I met him, I think 2013. And this isn't something I would normally share, but here we are, and I'm just going to say it. I met him on Tinder. This is when Tinder first came out. And my friends encouraged me to join it and just try it out. And he was one of the few people that actually showed up and looked like himself. And he was respectful. There wasn't a spark. I was still raising my kids at the time. And the one thing that I did notice about him was that he was flaky then. I just honestly couldn't think of the word flaky at the moment because I was still raising children and he was not my priority. My career was. So him and I decided to just follow each other on social media, and we reconnected summer of 2020. And looking back, I fell in love with myself because at the beginning, he was mirroring me. And I wasn't able to see that until now. His kindness, his gentleness, his softness, what I thought was his honesty and my safe place turned out to be hell. But I own that. I got myself into that. So I knew I needed to get myself out of it. But I had to first put my life as a priority. So I stayed silent. I had to make myself so small to just tune him out and to keep the peace because I did not have the energy. Normally, yeah, I would be talking back. I'm not somebody that just lets somebody belittle me the way that he would. And nobody, one other person did it one night. And I'll have to tell you guys about that person. It's another man. And we've been divorced nearly 4 years later. He's remarried, and I'm still dealing with him. But wrong, I want you to know that had you not stonewalled me, or AKA the silent treatment, that's when somebody ignores you. I think that's what most of us know stonewalling as, the silent treatment. Every 2 weeks, like clockwork, I knew I would get the silent treatment. And whenever I would get the silent treatment for 2 weeks. So it was 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And in the 2 weeks, I actually looked forward to the silent treatment because that was the only time I would ever get silence and peace of mind. And wrong, I hope that someday you find that. Because of you, I have found it. It literally took losing a piece of me to find me, and you're a part of it. So for that, I am grateful. Because when I left you, I know that you like to say you left me, and hey, knock yourself out. I'm okay if you want to take that win too. Again, I'm the loser, remember? So with you, I'll gladly take the L. You left me. I'm still in love with you, according to you. Everything you say, as long as you leave me alone, if that's the reality you want to live with, I'm cool with that. But I want you to know that you remember this book that you told me you read. And after I left you, in order to understand you a little bit more and understand me, how somebody like me could have chosen somebody like you, this book really, I needed to understand your mind. And this book helped me realize that this is your guide to manipulation. This is how you were able to manipulate me, and you learned how to mirror me at the beginning. And nobody has ever done that. But again, I'm thankful for it because I can assure you no one will ever do that to me again. And do you remember that conversation with your daughter? It's sad that you gave her this book so she can manipulate people. That she was actually putting Post-it notes every morning on her mirror. So again, both women are narcissists too. And I wish that had you not given me the silent treatment, that last marriage counseling session that you so much wanted to continue to explore, but yet you did not show up because I did not answer my phone in a timely manner. Literally, if I did not answer my phone at the first ring, I was with another man or I was doing something. And it was a constant fight. And again, I knew like clockwork. 2 weeks, I would get peace, and 2 weeks, I would not. But had you shown up to that last marriage counseling session, I stopped it because it was kind of scary to hear who you truly are and what's wrong with you. And you should continue to be in therapy because I think I know you better than you know yourself. You are so predictable. Typical abusers, just like the other one that you reached out to. You know which one I'm talking about. I'll get to him another day. So if you're watching, since you've been in my Instagram stories, I just want you to know eventually I'll get to you too. So let's see. Now that I told you guys about the Four Horsemen, where are we at? How long have we been on, Aaron? Half an hour? Okay. Because I don't want to take too much of your time, you guys. But to wrong and miss is wrong. I really hope that if you love him, I don't know, you both need help or get help and figure this out. All I know is I want to be left alone. And wrong. I'm going to do a short with save the date. And if anything that I've said today is false, you're more than welcome to call in and speak to me live. And we'll have this conversation live. And we'll talk about it. Or if she wants to call in and ask me questions. Because remember, I called your ex too because she helped fill in the gap of some of the lies that you were telling me that just didn't make sense after you reached out to her. Remember how you lied to me about that? Oh, and by the way, do you remember your password when I figured out your password? Because I caught you on dating websites while we were trying to fix our marriage? I want you to know how I figured it out, your password. That the first few minutes I was trying to figure it out the way that I would do a password, create a password. Then I realized, you might take it as an insult, but it's the truth. That if I try to create a password the way that Nancy thinks, I would never figure it out. So I remember telling to myself, okay, if I was wrong, how would I create a password? I said, well, I'm lazy, not that bright. So it's probably my job, your work, 1, 2, 3. And it was your job, 1, 2, 3. And I'd been watching your activity for months up until I was honest with you. Because your ex-girlfriend is the one that sent me the screenshots of you being on the dating apps. And also Reddit, how you meet men on there. I actually think you should explore that because I think that's part of the issue with you. And like, do you remember when you asked me how I would react if you came and told me that you were gay? And I told you it would all make sense and I would love you harder. And I meant it. Because I think a lot of it would make sense. And one of the things that I wanted to tell you too is I pity you and her because she knows what you're doing. And I so much hope that this and your continued harassment of me, that somehow you do get the help and that you finally find the peace and peace of mind that I have, that I've never experienced. And anybody listening, there's a difference. And if you've not felt both, that's not living. And I've never heard the beautiful sound of silence be so loud in my life. And that's because of you, Wrong. So for that, I thank you. And I genuinely hope that you do find happiness in yourself and that you work on yourself, because you've got a lot of work ahead of you. That's if you want to stay in this marriage. Otherwise, you're just going to continue recycling and hurting individuals if you don't figure out who you are. But just to tell you guys, if anybody listening, watching this episode, if you find yourself in an abusive relationship and you would like more clarity about some of the things that I spoke, or you want to hear more of the stories, my personal stories with him, to help things make sense in your life, that's part of the reason why I created this podcast, is because me being vulnerable and telling you what I went through, what I felt, what I go through, what I feel, and how I'm working on myself to get to where I am in such a great place, that that's what I want for you. And if my life serves as a guide to do that, then again, it's serving its purpose. Because I'm about to hit my 5-year mark from brain surgery, and I call that my rebirth on May 25th. And I'm going to celebrate it. I just haven't decided how. But that, to a degree, is almost more meaningful to me of a birthday than my actual birthday, because I'm so in love with the person that I continue to become. I'm a work in progress and still learning. I'm not perfect. I understand I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to fall off the wagon, and I'm going to be wrong too sometimes. No pun intended on that one. But I hope that this does touch somebody and it gives you either a reason to reach out to me and see in a way that I can help you if you think you don't have the strength to walk away from an abusive relationship. Doesn't matter how long you've been in it, because both men and women go through it. And, or that this gives you the courage or the strength to pull yourself out of whatever situation you might find yourself in. And I can tell you, the only way that I was able to know that I was walking away with my life, and as little as unscathed as possible, I guess you can say, but not truly, is by staying silent and really not even letting him know that I was leaving him. Because I started removing my things out of the home well before I told him I was leaving him. And the day that I left him, he was still trying to convince me, pulling me back in for us to talk about it. And had I not walked into that marriage with the confidence in myself and the things that I accomplished on my own, he would have broken my spirit, because he caught me in such a vulnerable time. And like I said, when I married him, I actually thought that here I found somebody so kind and lovable that he was willing to walk down this journey with me, knowing that I might not be alive 5 months from then, and that he would be left with the emotions. And he was so perfect. I cannot begin to tell you how perfect he was up until he wasn't. We got married, I believe, on a Wednesday, because my birthday fell on a Wednesday, and we married on my birthday. And exactly a week later is when it all began. And I honestly still, now I sometimes, when I replay certain things in my head about him because he's reached out, that's usually when it triggers something. Before I used to cry. Now I don't. And maybe I'll bring my journals, because I've been keeping journals now for nearly 5 years. And I've not read some of my entries from the past, but it would be interesting because I remember sometimes I would just be grateful for him and I not fighting, even if it was an hour. And it's kind of sad to think about it and to read what I wrote. Not grateful for my husband right after brain surgery, for us not to fight, even if it was an hour. I was thankful for that. But those little moments like that is what kept me going. But if you guys want me to bring my journal and read to you guys some of my entries, I'll read it to you live. You could see my reaction and we could talk about it if you'd like. But I hope that you take the time to comment. Next time I do one of these, call in, because next one will be live. This one's pre-recorded. Because wrong, again, I want you to call me and Mrs. Wrong if anything that I've said today is a lie. And again, because I've hardly said anything. And this is just scratching the surface, because you remember your journal too and your entries that you wrote in there about hurting people and your dark thoughts. I've shared that with the police too, because I don't want it weighing on me if you actually hurt somebody. Because too many times that's what happens in America is we don't listen to the warnings. And then when mass casualties occur, you're one of those individuals. And I genuinely hope that you get the help, because I do pity you. But I do thank you for being so cruel to me, because I love who I have become and continue to be. And I've grown so much because of you, because I've never again met anybody so cruel as you. You're so worthless. And I know that you think I'm lonely. I don't know, your messages, honestly, they're puzzling, because everything that you say I am is the things that you're doing. You're married and you're happily married. So please leave me alone. That's why I've not responded to you. I walked away from that courthouse when we divorced on September the 2nd, never looking back at you. I hardly even spoke to you. The next day when I went out to celebrate, I actually started to cry. And there were happy tears, and my friends thought that I was sad. But no, I just told them that it was such a relief that I can finally breathe. And actually, as a matter of fact, let me pull up your text the next day. Because let's see. Because like I said, like clockwork, I knew that everything was going to be a fight. And I want people to hear that are listening, that deal with abusive individuals as well. Our last interaction, so he'd given me the silent treatment 2 weeks before September 2nd. And actually a week before, and this is the reason why, he had a neighbor whom I actually think he was sleeping with. And not to get too much into detail about that, but she kept calling, and I interrupted what I was doing because he asked if I could go to his house, and I knew if I did not go, it would be an argument that I was with somebody else, and I constantly had to prove myself that I was not. Anyhow, she kept calling within the first 5 minutes that I was there, and after the third time, I told him that I would leave, and that way he can give her all his attention. And so instead of taking accountability or telling her, I'm with my wife, friend, whatever situation you're in, so right now is not the time. When I told him I was going to leave, he told her, I'll call you back. And this is how when I left, because I did leave, This is how he responded, the messages that he started sending to me. Your insecurities are going to be your downfall. That has never happened before, and I was overreacting for leaving. That's what he's writing. Of course, it happened one time when I try to help somebody, and you generalize the whole way I've treated you. And you'll keep over-exaggerating everything to make yourself feel complete. So no, you don't have to deal with it because I have to deal with it. If that was the case, then I would have left you in the house so I could go check up on her, but I didn't out of respect for you. So I don't know what you're talking about. You're a child. My response: stop trying to turn your action tonight as if it were my fault. Was it me or was it you that made the decision to continue answering her calls, knowing it would likely cause an issue? Was it you or my decision to do that? His reply: that woman has never done anything to you. Anyhow, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but there was banter back and forth. And this was his reply when I told him he should go help her because I was gone. Another woman: you are fucking very creative with your imagination. You're sick. You turn everything into something big so you can do all that you want. Okay? You turned a great night, what could have been, because somebody needed my help and you couldn't deal with it because you're a baby. You couldn't be understanding because you're a baby. I did nothing wrong to you and she's never done anything wrong to you. So give it up with your insecurities already. My reply: I'm not even arguing with you. You gave me a choice. I made it. Because one of the things that he said is, I'll never forget that smirk on your face. There's so many things I wanted to tell you, like your stupid fish stories that you used to tell me. You were so boring. But towards the end, I had to pretend and dumb myself down so much so I could get out with my life. I could not stand your fish stories. It was so uninteresting. But anyhow, like I said, there's so much I wish I wanted to tell you in that moment what I really thought, but I was sparing myself from your backlash. So I told him, made a choice. He said, no, you got mad like a baby. That was your choice. Never told you that she was more important than you. You're always exaggerating. Again, I told him to call her. And then he just started ranting on and on and on. And then the next day when we signed, September 2nd, which was the last time, we divorced that day. I walked away not saying anything to him. Goodbye, nothing. Hardly spoke while we were waiting to sign. On September the 3rd, it hadn't even been 24 hours that we'd signed our divorce papers. He sent me a text to mail him his fob for the gate. And I knew I wasn't going to respond to him. So I wanted to see, because if I didn't respond to him right away with anything, with his texts, phone calls, whatever, again, it was an argument. So that was at 8:26 a.m. on September the 3rd. Then on September the 3rd, 2022, by 12:15 p.m., which I blocked him right after this, and he's been blocked on everything since. Oh yeah, just keep it and add it to your collection of stuff you've taken from me. Goodbye and good riddance. But yet I still hear from him. So with that said, I think tonight I've said enough. How long have we been going now, Aaron? Because, huh? I'm 50 minutes? No, it's not that I'm wore out. It's just I got plans. I got a dinner to go to. Quality time. Quality time.
Well, thank you for that. Was quite interesting.
Yeah, and this is like nothing, but I just wanted people to kind of, because again, I took a breather the last 2 weeks because I really wanted to think it through on how I wanted to handle this situation that he left me comments on my YouTube channel. And what really surprised me more was that he used his real name. And I didn't know. I just, again, it took me aback that he used his real name because he's used so many fake names. And I've never gone in depth about this. So I hope that somebody watching, that you'll ask questions, put something in the comments, or if you've taken the time to see any of my previous episodes, because something that I would like to know from my audience, because I've created this for me. And again, a riot, I'm a riot myself, but if I want a full riot with my fellow watchers, subscribers, I need you. So I've tried to make the episodes give you a variety. I've had guests, really eclectic background of guests. Would you agree, Aaron? So
Yes, I do.
yeah. So, do you guys, what do you want to see more of? Would you like to know more about my story and the things I've been through? I'll do a deeper dive of the abuse. But I hope that now watching me and that you guys got a little more glimpse and that I was able to give you examples of how he was abusive to me, how this might correlate to you in your life if you're going through this or have found yourself in situations like this, because I don't think it's talked about enough. Because again, I was carrying so much shame, and I could tell you before therapy, there is no way I would have been able to open up about all of this to anybody in such a public way. And I've shed that shame so much, and it's because of you, Wrong. And as a failure, I want you to know how much failure I've accomplished in the last not even 4 years. I delivered my first keynote speech at a major casino, April of 2023. You know that. Some of your ex-friends flew in to hear that speech. I spoke about you a little bit, but don't get full of yourself thinking it was all about you. I've been the mistress of ceremony. I've done live auctions, created my podcast. Oh, and you'd be so jealous if you saw where I live. But again, I'm a failure. So, to anybody listening, I hope that you comment, interact with me, hit subscribe, and that you engage with me and let me know what you want to hear more of. Do you want to hear more of my story and the abuse? Because I can honestly tell you, sadly, he made me get my PhD in psychology and how the mind works in abusers. And we're in an abusive relationship, like I said, with this president. Because every day with him that I woke up, I never knew what personality I was going to get. There's a lot of personalities in that one human being. Same with the president. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't like to wake up not knowing what the hell what shoe's going to drop that day. That's a terrible way to live. And that's how we're living now every day. I mean, it's sad how some people can't even afford to put gas in their car anymore, feed themselves. If this is so great, imagine what worse is. I'm curious. If this is great, I can only imagine what terrible is. And I could tell you from the terrible short-lived marriage I was in, it didn't take me very long to put the 2 and 2 together. And I am so grateful that I had the strength to leave him and that the people around me were honest with me when I asked the honest questions. And I know it hurts. It's very difficult when you love somebody to hear the honest truth. But we all have a choice in how we move in life and how we treat each other and how we're going to move as a society. So I hope that you will interact with me and let me know in the comments, or next time I go live that you'll call in or shoot me an email. Follow me on Facebook, my Instagram, Nancy's Riot Podcast, my Facebook, Nancy's Riot with an apostrophe, my YouTube handle, you know that, my TikTok, Nancy's Riot. If you want to follow me there, let me know what you want, because I've created this for you, for us. I want us to create Everybody says community. No, I want to create a society of people that actually do change and are about change. Because wrong, the one thing that you've motivated me so much, because I've learned so much also about the laws and how the laws are not made up to protect people in my situation, that I have so much evidence against you. But because you weren't using your real name at the beginning, the police couldn't tie you to it, even though it all made sense. And the numbers, the random numbers that would call, that started up again, that are disconnected, yeah, you're using an app to mask your number, or a Google number, or it's her, Mrs. Wrong. But one of you guys keep calling, and you remember how my phone is set up. I'm sure you do. But anyhow, again, back to my audience. I genuinely hope that you take the time to look at the previous episodes and let me know which type of guests you'd like to see more of, or if you want me to open up more about myself and share more about you, and that you take the time to interact with me. So thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate you guys so much, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening. And thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate you. Nancy's Riot.